Thanks for watching the video. I just wanted to get on here real quick and give a little bit of context and talk about the process. I spent from inception of the idea through filming and editing the video. It's been about 2 weeks. I spent parts of 3 days filming and the last couple of days editing. My last video I talked about imposter syndrome. I shot that video momentarily. Sorry. It's March 1st in Arizona and it's still very cold outside, so my heaters are on. I forgot where I was at. Oh. In my last video I talked about imposter syndrome. I filmed the talking head stuff talking about imposter syndrome the day that I spent the most time filming for the video that you just watched. One of the reasons that I decided to go ahead and be done editing the video for now and not go shoot a lot more stuff, obviously I'm going to be at this ranch for the next couple of months. I could realistically work on this thing through to the end of the season, but I wanted to give myself that sort of artificial constraint and time frame to just be done with it, because as I was going through the process of editing and culling through all of the footage that I shot, you know, I realized that what I had in my head of how I thought this thing was going to look isn't exactly what I was able to pull together. And that's okay, but I need to just be done with it, or else I will just keep going out every weekend and shooting more and more and trying to refine it and make it perfect. But perfectionism is just a form of procrastination. I need to move on to the next thing. I learned a lot from going out and spending those days shooting and realizing that I have a lot of skills to build as far as the actual, you know, learning everything that you can learn about using your camera and editing is one thing, but there's an actual tangible aspect to going out and having the camera in your hand and getting those shots that you want to get. I made that video about imposter syndrome, and it's no wonder that I still feel that, because it showed, for me at least, it showed for me in the edit. It just wasn't as good as I hoped it was going to be. I think I just sort of set my expectations a little bit too high for what I was going to be able to produce. And it is tough to swallow my pride a little bit and realize that I just don't quite have the skills yet to make the things as I see them in my head, I guess, if that makes sense. Realizing that there was some pre-production things that I could have done better in order to get the shots that I wanted to get. Realizing that there's some skills that I still have to build throughout the entire process of what it takes from idea to final deliverable. Like I said in that last video about procrastination, you learn more through application, and this is me going out and applying the limited skills that I have and realizing that I still need to work on them and I need to go out and shoot more and more and more. I heard an idea recently about living in the gap or the gain, and most people, when they have gone through this process of like making big changes in their life, can tend to get stuck in living in the gap where you might have made a lot of changes, but there's still things that you're striving for, a place that you want to get to. And rather than look at all those gains that you've made throughout, you know, all these changes, personally, it would be like looking back at making the decision to stop drinking and going through the whole process of going back to school, like educating myself about health and fitness and all these things that I went through. I haven't really ever given myself the credit that I probably should have in order to be happy with all of those changes. Instead, I have been sort of like living in that gap and being unhappy because I still haven't got to this like next level that I'm trying to get to. But that's just a recipe for continuing to be unhappy forever if I keep living in that gap. And so that's something that I want to look into, that idea more and read. I think there's actually an entire book about that. I forget what it's called, but I don't even remember where I heard the idea, but I just jotted it down real quick about something that I wanted to remember to look into. But I think that applies to this too, as far as videography and filmmaking, and trying to get to the point where I can make things that are valuable enough for someone to pay me to make them. Not yet being at that point, but not being unhappy with that, and looking at where I was at even just a few months ago compared to where I'm at now and the skills that I've built, I should be happy with that rather than being unhappy with the fact that I still have a lot of work to do. And actually, that's a good thing. It's a positive thing. I enjoy learning and I enjoy the process of going through these steps to make myself better. Anyway, I'm going to try and keep this one short because the other reason that I decided to be done with the video now and go ahead and post it and then add this on to just give a little bit of context was to keep myself on schedule for being able to post one video to YouTube every week. This will make, 4 weeks in a row, so that's, a good streak. That's a whole month of staying on track with that. I'm writing out and scripting my next video already, so I should be on track for next week. Kind of going back to that whole gap in the gain idea of being happy with the progress that I'm making and all the work that I've done and put in to get to where I'm at. But I would love to get some genuine feedback on the video. I don't just want to hear, from people that care about me that it's a good video. I know it's good. It's not great though, and I would like to hear what people think could be improved, especially if you are someone who has some knowledge about things like this. I don't really know why too many people that have knowledge about videography and filmmaking and cinematography would be watching these videos, but if for some reason it ends up being seen by someone like that, I would love to get some genuine feedback. But as always, I love you all. Quite the colorful frame here between the lights and the green hat.